So I finally watched Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter is a series that I've been putting off ever since I was a kid. I watched a couple episodes of the 1990s version, all the way up to when Killua ripped that criminal's heart out. After that, I pretty much dropped the series for whatever known reason. Now, almost 18, 17, 16, 15 years later, I'm finally continuing Hunter x Hunter, and I've got to the point where I've completely finished the anime. No, I have not read the manga, so this would not be a review of the manga, but yeah, enjoy. If you guys like this type of content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get right into it. Hunter x Hunter is one of those OG anime that when you first start getting into anime, people always recommend you to watch that one. Now, I have a friend or a couple friends that have been begging me to watch this show for a long time. I just never got around to it for some reason. I don't know why. But suddenly after one day, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just try this shit. So I turned on an episode of Hunter x Hunter, and I was met with a surprise. The surprise was that the beginning of Hunter x Hunter, in my opinion, was very slow. It was very bland. It felt very shonen-like, very common shonen, old shonen tropey-like, and I just didn't like that. I wasn't digging it at first. So we got to the Hunter exams, we were meeting the characters and shit, and I still wasn't digging it. I remember watching through the Hunter exam, and I was like, it's just not that entertaining to me. Like, I'm borderline entertained, like I'm watching it still, but I'm just not that entertained. At this point in the story, we're literally just in the freaking hallway running, you know what I'm saying, meeting Killua, meeting Hisoka, meeting Kurapika, Rio, finding out more about them, what they want to do. As the exam goes on, however, the stakes start rising and our characters start to face new challenges. I'm really happy, though, in this arc that it's not really like a battle shonen arc, like a tournament. Like the first Chunin exams arc, it's nothing like that. This arc actually incorporates different ways to defeat your opponent in every single stage. You know what I'm saying? We have a fighting stage. We have one, we have to steal someone's badge. We have one where they're running, testing your endurance. There's just so many different ways that Togashi made this exam happen. And I feel like I like that because it makes hunters not just like, oh yeah, yo, they just fight. Like that's all they do. Like, you know what I'm saying? It makes like a stealth perspective to being a hunter as well, which I actually like that. It took me a while to finish the hunter exam, but I eventually got through it. And honestly, it's not like I didn't like the end of the arc. I actually dig the end of the arc more than I did the beginning of the arc, but it was still just a mid arc. Then came Killua's family's arc, which I really enjoyed a lot more than the hunter exam. Unlike the hunter exam, this arc actually had a lot of stakes, and we're getting to meet more of the top tiers in the verse, like Killua's family. I liked how mysterious and dark the story was going because starting out so lighthearted, you know, like an innocent baby, to where it is now, where we see Killua literally killing somebody and all this torture and all this dark stuff happening to him, right? It's really intrigued me. I was like, okay, how can a series within one arc, within one scene, within a couple minutes, go from this to this? And that brought a question in my mind, which I had for the rest of Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, this arc was way more enjoyable than the first one, and so we moved on to Heaven's Arena. Heaven's Arena was the first arc that I could genuinely say was a good arc. I actually liked this arc a lot, and due to nostalgia, it's literally just such a nostalgic arc. Whenever I think back at this arc, I'm just thinking about how Gon and Killua were staying in their hotel, learning Nen. Like, it's just such a nostalgic arc when you know what happens after. But yeah, Heaven's Arena was a really good arc from start to finish. I really dig Gon's development in this arc, Killua's development in this arc. You know, them learning Nen as a power system as a whole is just some of the most complex shit I've seen in shonen anime. Normally, shonen anime like to have like simple power systems, chakra and shit like that. But Nen is like, it's like a math equation with everything they fucking do, which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? I like that concept. But yeah, so we get to learn Nen in this arc. We get to see Hisoka more. We get to see all this shit. But yeah, W arc. Moving on to Yorknew City. Going from Heaven's Arena to Yorknew City was like going from the light of day to the dawn of night. This arc was so much darker than Heaven's Arena. It's not even funny. Which is what I really loved about this series, Hunter x Hunter. It was so unique to the point where something could be so bright, yet so dark at the same time. You know, it's just such a weird series in that regard, which I actually love about it. I like how unique that is. I haven't seen another series do that really, that is light and dark at the exact same time. And these moments really contrast each other. When we see Kurapika get his get back on one of the Phantom Troop, even though we haven't visually seen his clan get slaughtered, we see how much that shit means to him. We see his hatred boiling up every time he even hears the Phantom Troop around. And we get to see it executed, how he literally destroys Uvojin. Literally. I was the guy sitting there while watching this arc, and I was like, wait, I don't know if Kurapika can take this guy out. And then he goes and wrecks him. Absolutely destroys Uvojin. Fucking amazing. The conclusion to this arc, also fucking amazing. Seeing Chrollo for the first time, him playing his Requiem, him versing two of the Zodics, it's just a fucking great arc. Yorknew City was the fucking amazing arc. I love that arc so much. But yeah, moving on. Going into Greed Island, I was told by so many people that Greed Island is where Hunter x Hunter is just trash. Like, you should just skip Greed Island because it's not that good. I literally love this arc. I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks this in the entire world, but that volleyball match was so entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat every single episode of that volleyball match. And even in the last battle where Genthru fought Gon, that was an amazing fight too. Like, I don't know how people don't like this arc. I love the concept and how this shit's in a game. You know what I'm saying? It's really like, it's unique. You're getting spell cards. It's like Sword Art Online, but in Hunter x Hunter. And this shit probably happened before Sword Art Online, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, bro, Greed Island was an amazing arc. I feel like it's heavily underrated by people who just want fights and fights and fights. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, then we move on to my favorite arc in Hunter x Hunter, and probably one of my favorite arcs of all time in shonen anime and manga, the Chimera Ant arc. The Chimera Ant arc starts off strong as fuck with the introduction of all the ants and seeing how they can grow so quick. I feel like what Hunter x Hunter does really well is really show you how hard it is to obtain a level of strength that our characters are obtaining, and seeing these ants develop Nen, get better at using it in such a short amount of time is such a scary thing that Togashi did, because it's really like, how are we going to beat these things? They're literally more talented. They're literally just born better than us. They're above us on the food chain. You know what I'm saying? Which really adds this duality and like complexness to the world, where you have humans who have been at the top of the food chain doing whatever they want for such a long time, but when the same thing's happening to them, are we supposed to root for the humans, or are we supposed to root for the ants? You know what I'm saying? Our main characters are human though, you know what I mean? So it's like such a very complex arc where I love the beginning. The king hasn't been born yet, the royal guard's being born, and we get to meet Kite, a direct link to Gon and his father. Now, after finishing Greed Island, we just kept getting more links to Gon and his father. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really sure if we're going to see Jing in the anime at all. That was solved later on, but I wasn't sure that we were going to see at all in the anime. But then we meet Kite, you know? Like, Kite's a very experienced hunter from this point at what I've seen. I think he's probably Gon and Killua's best mentor throughout the series in such a short time. You can already tell that he's like the most experienced hunter they've met. And, you know, they're basically trying to clear the Chimera ants, make it to their nest, stop the king from being born, and kill the queen. At this point in the arc, I thought they were going to be able to get inside the cave, kill the queen, but the king is still going to end up being born and bear a giant grudge against humanity. That's what I thought was going to happen. What happened next was completely unexpected. Now, in shonen anime and manga, when you usually meet a mentor in the beginning of the arc, or a big character in the beginning of the arc, that character will stay with you normally towards the end of the arc. Not Kite. I was under the impression that Kite would be like a Bisky, like a Master Wing, someone that would teach Gon and Killua to grow and get a lot stronger throughout the arc, and maybe his conclusion would come later on when Gon and Killua have already grown. But no. Hunter x Hunter's Togashi does something crazy, a spin that I did not expect. So one of the royal guards ends up being born and ends up finding out how to learn Nen quick as fuck. We find out that she's a literal specialist. She's literally a prodigy, one some of the strongest Nen we've ever seen, some of the strongest aura we've seen in the show. Above the first couple episodes where she's born, she can sense them from like miles away, even just learning Nen, which is literally insane. We get to see how much monsters these Chimera ants actually are. So then when she pulls up on Kite, Gon, and Killua, we get to see utter helplessness between Gon and Killua. Killua already notices because, you know, he's an assassin. He knows that when someone's stronger than you, you're supposed to run away. Do not engage them. So his first reaction is to run away, while Gon is like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what is this shit? He's just a crash out, I'm not gonna lie. Gon is a literal crash out, so he's like, yo, you're not gonna cut my man's off. You're not gonna cut my guy's arms off like that and then expect me to do nothing. Fuck that shit. Killua was smart though, because he knocks Gon out and runs away with him, where Kite is left alone to deal with this Chimera ant. And then towards the end of the episode, we get little hints dropped that, Kite might be alive. What happened to Kite? To where we get to the end of the episode and we see Pito with Kite's head on her lap. This shit was literally insane. I was not expecting Kite to die so early on in the series. It was just such a twist that Togashi put. And remember how I was saying how the series was fluctuating between light and dark? Like the tone of the series was just constantly shifting, and I love the way that Togashi did it. For this whole Chimera arc, he just shifted it all the way down to dark mode. We see humans being used as slaves, humans being consumed, multiple people dying. It's just crazy. This arc was a literal masterpiece in the making, and I'm so glad that Togashi produced this. A lot of people may say that the arc gets slow throughout the midpoint where Gon is training and shit. I wouldn't say it gets slow. I'd say that this is like a necessary part of the arc, because the ants are already so much stronger. They're already established to be so much stronger than our main characters that we kind of do need a training arc, just like every other arc in the show where we're training and getting stronger. But this arc is like different because we don't just get stronger and then we're like, yay, let's go fight them. Gon and Killua actually fail. They're not able to be able to fight, like by on their own and shit yet. But it was just fucking crazy, bro. Like this dude Gon legitimately tries his hardest and still ends up losing to Knuckle. I love the way Togashi is not following typical shonen rules in this arc. Typical shonen rules where the MC would lose, train, and be able to win at the end of the training arc and be able to go fight the enemy. But he lost to Knuckle. It just makes so much sense. And you know what I'm saying? I love the way Togashi actually makes everything in this series at this point feel earned. Like, you have to earn your power-ups in this show. You can't just have them handed to you. Which I really love about how Togashi writes Hunter x Hunter. Now, let's get into the battle. I can also talk about the palace portion of the arc where Komogi and Miriam start playing chess. By the way, Miriam, literal beautiful character. I'll talk more about him later. But this whole portion where people like to think that it's slow because the setup is happening, they're just in the city, they're just kind of trying to be stealthy, you know what I'm saying, like hunters. I really love this portion of the arc because every single time we get to see Miriam play chess with Komogi, it's literally so entertaining. My eyes were glued to the screen, seeing this monster-like figure keep making exceptions for this human. And then when he actually felt concerned, and he was so mad that Komogi was getting hurt by a bird, and he asked her, if you ever get hurt again, please call me. And he shows concern for her well-being. That is beautiful, bro. Legitimately beautiful writing for a character like Miriam. Anyways, now let's get into the fighting. Despite this being a war arc, not many fights really occur. Yes, there is Gon versus Pito, there is Miriam versus Netero, and there is Yuppie versus Knuckle, Shu, and all those people, but it's really just that. Normally in a war arc, the people would beat the underlings and then go on to fight the king, which doesn't happen here. The underlings end up defeating Knuckle and Shu. Yuppie ends up defeating both of them, which is also a very unexpected thing that I love about this arc. How unexpected this could be. This never happens in modern shonen. It's usually the side characters end up defeating the side villains, then we work our way up to the climax battle where the main character fights the main villain. I love that shit. I love it. I ate it up, quite literally. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time we get to Netero versus Miriam, that fight is just beautiful. Not gonna lie. It's legitimately beautiful. And I am so sorry to tell you, but in this fight, I was rooting for Miriam, which is really crazy because Netero is on our protagonist's side. You know what I'm saying? He's fighting against the ants. But Miriam is literally fighting to like try and make peace with Netero. He doesn't want to fight him, which is why you see the character progression through Miriam. He begins to actually start learning to understand people instead of just killing them off using his power. You know what I mean? And it's just, his character development is beautiful, bro. I'm going to talk more about that later. But listen, this fight, peak fiction. Literally everything about it was just peak. The structure of the fight was peak. The way it concluded was peak, where Miriam could actually have lost. I did not expect the main villain to lose before fighting the protagonist or even meeting the protagonist. But yeah, bro, Miriam ended up basically drawing that fight. He just got out of it by the skin of his teeth. And yeah, then we move on to the Gon and Pito portion of this arc. When Kite dies, we get to see a scene where Pito ends up playing with his body and turning him into some sort of puppet for her. We then get to see the same puppet encounter with Gon, and we get to see how Gon really is losing himself. After seeing Kite like this, he directly blames Pito and says that he'll make everything normal again, claiming that he will beat the shit or kill Neferpito. This is the first time we see a pure character, like childish character like Gon, resort to something like killing. This is the same character a couple episodes ago, telling Crollo, how can you kill people that you have no ties to or you don't even know? This is the same person. The exact same person a couple arcs later is saying that he will literally murder Neferpito for this. So it's just, the character development through Gon in this arc is absolutely insane. But yeah, after seeing Kite in that broken, beaten state, Gon, like, we're always, throughout this arc, we're waiting for him to encounter Pito again. And when he does, it is some of the most edging shit ever. Because I'm literally waiting here, sitting down. Killua's in the room. Komogi's getting healed. Pito is, it's described beautifully how she's literally naked in front of a beast right now. She feels exposed. She feels weak. She can't do anything at this moment in time. We know she's stronger than Gon, but in this moment, Gon is the aggressor. He has the upper hand. He could finish her off right here, right now. In which Gon literally bitches Pito so bad. He's literally just like, heal her right fucking now. Heal her right now, or you know what? Fuck it, bro. Like, after you heal her, we're gonna go heal Kite. I don't give a fuck. If you don't want to do that, I'm going to kill her right now. He's literally insane. He has lost his mind. And that scene where he's crying, just pointing at her like, why do I get to deserve to watch you heal someone else when you're the person that made Kite that monster? It just makes you sympathize with Gon's character that much more. And it makes you sympathize with someone who's literally about to commit an act of murder. Heinous murder. Someone who can't even fight back. Which is just like, oh my gosh, like Gon's character development in this arc is insane. He goes from this pure kid with goals larger than life, and you know what I'm saying, venturing out into the world, exploring different parts of the world with his best friend, to this mentally unstable psychopath, almost murderer. But yeah, this scene was literally insane. I was literally on the edge of my seat wondering, is he going to transform? Is he not going to transform? Is he going to transform? Is he not going to transform? After the battle with Netero, I really wanted Miriam to survive that nuke, in which he did, but he forgot everything. Now, I was so mad at this because I thought that he would just be living and forget everything and have to learn it all over again, which kind of cheesed me at that point in time. But then when he finally hears Komogi's name again, that little arc comes to a close. I'll talk more about that arc later. Let's talk more about the Gon stuff. Gon takes Pito to go see Kite and heal him, where Pito tells him when they arrive that she cannot heal Kite. He's already dead. There's nothing they can do to help Kite. And then we see Gon, our main character, our protagonist, a child, fall to his knees in despair, blaming himself instead of blaming Pito for doing all this like he has been doing for the past 60 episodes. He now starts to blame himself. He now starts to have self-pity, in which we hear a voice in Gon's head telling him, no, it's Pito's fault. Murder her. And it makes this insane scene where he's sitting there completely in despair, repeating the same thing. Oh, it's my fault. But the voice in his head is telling him, no, it's Pito's fault. And I feel like this is a great representation of how serial killers in real life think. Crazy people in real life think. Because people always talk about that voice in the back of your mind telling you what to do. I feel like this is a great representation of that. Because Gon is ready to accept that, you know what, like, it was my fault that all this shit happened to Kite. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he always knew that anyways, but his rage was driving him to blame Pito anyways. But then that voice in the back of his head, even though he's realized this, is like, fuck it, like, kill her anyways. Look what she did to Kite. Kill her anyways. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. I feel like Takashi really emphasized that very well. Anyways, we get the adult Gon scene. I don't really need to talk too much about this scene. It's basically just Gon losing his humanity and snapping finally ending up killing someone for the first time in the series, while Killua is unable to be the light to stop him, like how Gon was the light to stop Killua, drag him out of the darkness. Which really does a number on Killua's character. This Killua character, this arc, does has major development as well, wanting to be Gon's friend, and that overcomes his fear of like running away from stronger opponents that he's been taught, by his brother for his whole basic life. And yeah, like this whole scene of Gon like literally destroying Pito is some of the most satisfying shit ever. It's also some of the most terrifying shit ever, and how we can see what some of the most purest characters in a couple chapters, couple episodes turn into some of the darkest characters in the series. The final portion of this arc that I want to talk about is the Miriam and Komogi conclusion. This was genuinely some of the most beautiful and heartwarming shit I've seen from any anime or manga. And like that chess scene where he's just saying, Komogi, are you still there? And it's just a black screen. We can't see. Komogi, are you still there? That shit had me tearing up, bro. That shit had a grown man crying on his bed at 4 a.m. in the morning, just crying, bawling. Anyways, like it was just an amazing conclusion for Miriam's character. And I feel like this arc has an amazing parallel that I'm going to talk about later. I'm going to take a second here to talk about some of my favorite characters now, in which I will talk about Miriam a lot more, but you basically get the gist of what I was talking about with him during the Chimera arc, how he starts out as a monster, literal monster, using his power to destroy and take everything away from the weak. And then he notices after meeting Komogi that his power should be used to protect people like her and not take away from people like her. You know what I mean? So his character develops there, and then he also just gets humanity. You know what I'm saying? He usually was just like, oh yeah, ants are above everyone, and we're above like the food chain. It doesn't matter. So you guys have been eating cows and all this shit for ages. You know what I'm saying? Because you were the stronger being. That's how the world works. The strong take from the weak, in which we get to see his development just completely switch lopsided, do a whole 180 by the time he's done the arc. And it's just some of the most beautiful shit I've ever seen. His conclusion is probably one of my top 2 antagonist conclusions I've ever read in anime manga. It's fucking amazing, bro. Like literally amazing. Miriam has earned his spot in like my top 5 antags. He's somewhere in there. He's somewhere along the top. Anyways, let's talk about someone else. Let's talk about my previous favorite character, Kurapika. Now, Kurapika is obviously the go-to generic, I'd say, character that a lot of people really love because of his whole revenge gig and that whole edgy, like, vibe he kind of has when he gets his scarlet eyes and shit. I feel like he's a very, cool character. I mess with his story. He had development in the Yorknew arc where he realized his friends are more important than his revenge, but although I do feel like that is going to start to change even more as he goes down a deeper path for revenge. Because remember when Leorio called him while Gon was literally in a life or death state and Kurapika is literally like ignoring his calls. He just didn't even give a fuck. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. He's literally doing his own thing for the sake of his revenge. And I feel like Kurapika he's just a sick ass character. I just wish I seen him in the anime more. I know he's in the manga right now a lot, but I'm not sure like if I want to read the manga because listen, if Tagashi's not going to come back, it's kind of like a waste of time to read the manga. It's only 40 chapters long. So I guess if he comes back and starts dropping chapters weekly, regularly, then I guess I'll tap back in. But for now, I'll just be like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not reading the manga. The next characters I want to talk about is Gon and Killua. I feel like these characters go through a very similar arc throughout the series where they kind of have some of the best parallel in the entire show. Second to Miriam and Gon's parallel, where literally it's kind of the same thing where Killua starts off as this murderous guy that, literally like has no regard for killing people as he's been taught that his entire life. And you know what I'm saying? He just doesn't know what right for wrong is. While Gon is like this very pure-hearted child that ends up illuminating Killua, turning him into light. He turns his darkness into light and brings Killua out more, you know what I'm saying? Less into that murderous killer and more into like his best friend child. Killua gets to live a normal human life instead of being this cold-blooded killer assassin. While Gon, on the other hand, gets consumed by vengeance and ends up doing horrible things and just abandoning some of his old morals of not wanting to kill anybody because he's consumed with rage and shit. You know what I'm saying? He goes down a very dark path. And I feel like it's very good because Killua it really emphasizes that, Gon was able to save him, but Killua wasn't able to save Gon. You know what I'm saying? So it's just two very nice characters right here that I really mess with. Again, I wasn't messing with Gon in the beginning of the series, kind of because he just felt like a blank slate. You know what I mean? He just felt like a wet blanket. Like, you know, Gon's just like that one generic character. Like, oh, wow, look, it's Gon. He has his cool moments. But until he actually started getting like started using Rock, you know, like, I really started fucking with him then. I'm not sure if I even need to talk about how Miriam and Gon's dynamic is just amazing, and how, well, not their dynamic, they're parallel, and how they don't even meet each other for the whole series. Now listen, when I didn't watch Hunter x Hunter, I did not know that Miriam and Gon don't meet each other for the entire fucking series. This is geniusly done by Togashi. I'm sorry, I've never seen any other author have their MC never meet their main antagonist for the arc. I've never seen that in my life. And that is just Togashi's genius when it comes to writing this story. And just, it shows how Miriam starts out as this cold-blooded murderous killer, and he ends up gaining his humanity, while Gon starts out as a very humanic, you know, very guy who stays to his morals and shit, but then loses his humanity, which is just like, after seeing two sides of the world, Miriam was the one who got illuminated, and Gon was the one who got darkened. It's just a crazy parallel that I really love. I've already talked about the feel of the story a lot in this review, talking about how the story can go from a very lighthearted and, you know, Disney-esque story to a very dark not berserk, but just a very dark and psychological story in a matter of seconds, a matter of chapters, a matter of like minutes in an episode. That I really love. Like, I really love how Togashi's able to make this duality in this world about how it could go either way, you know what I mean? And it really emphasizes that again through Gon and Miriam's parallel. But yeah, like, Chimera Ant arc was peak. These characters are peak. But what do I think of Hunter x Hunter after finishing it? After finishing Hunter x Hunter, I can safely say that this is one of the best anime I've ever watched, at least in the shonen catosphere. This anime has a great main character. Not a great character, but has a good main character that I think has great development throughout the story. And it really shows like his coming of age story of how he ended up losing his humanity at the end of the show. It has a great cast. The cast of characters is just consistently good, with good development, good depth, and they all feel like their own character. They don't feel like just people who are in the story just to be in the story, like fulfill their purpose. They all feel like characters you genuinely like give a fuck about. You know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like the antagonists are some of the strongest in the show than any other show. We have Chrollo, we have Miriam, we have Hisoka. So many like amazing antagonists. I still do think Gintama has a better antagonist cast. But bro, Hunter x Hunter, this story is just, over the last couple days, this story has become very special to me. And I'm very, very saddened that it's not going to continue. Like, Togashi's health is not so good. And, you know, like, just think about the potential that this story had pains me a lot. It's like Messi getting injured in 2013 when he was literally on pace to have a better season than he did in 2012, which is literally like insane because we never know how good Messi could have gotten if he never got that injury. You know what I mean? And it's just like, Hunter x Hunter, bro, we don't know how good this story could have gone, because I feel like the Chimera Ant arc was nothing compared to what Togashi had planned later on. We had the whole dark continent, where I've heard that the Chimera Ants are like a lower being in that whole continent, which is fucking insane. Insane. Nasty work, Togashi. Like, you're cooking. You know what I mean? Like, you're literally cooking. But yeah, bro, I really hope that the author can continue the series. Overall, I give the series a 9.02 out of 10. I feel like it earns its spot in my top 10 with a great cast, great antagonists, great arcs, great fights, great music. And yeah, bro, just great duality within the world. But yeah, I feel like that's all I have to say. Anyways, if you have any thoughts about Hunter x Hunter, leave it down below in the comments. Tell me know if you like this video, like and subscribe. Share to your friends if you could. And know.